The word recruiting has a pretty bad rep in our industry, even though it is a necessary evil if you ever want to grow your downline, your team, or your brokerage. So our guest is here today to help us get over ourselves when it comes to recruiting. Her name is Michele Harrington, Marine Corps veteran turned CEO of the #1 largest independent brokerage in all of California, and has helped recruit over 2,000 agents. Expect to learn exactly what to say the first time you speak to a potential recruit, what to say and do during your meeting with them, the most common objections to prepare for, and stick around to the end for how to handle that dreaded split conversation. You're listening to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, the show for agents who've been around the block and are finally ready to build a sustainable and scalable business. Learn the exact steps to build a business that runs like a machine, one you don't secretly hate or want to escape from. My name is Shelby Johnson. I am a former Army veteran turned real estate entrepreneur. I have closed hundreds of transactions as a solo agent, team leader, and real estate investor before hitting complete and utter burnout. And now, years later, I am making a comeback, building my agent business from the ground up in a completely new city, Lexington, Kentucky. More on that journey coming soon. But for today, get ready to learn exactly how to recruit agents and grow your business. Rockstars, welcome Michele Harrington. If I'm a team leader or a brokerage owner out there and thinking about recruiting, what does that phone call look like for you?
So it really is doing a good amount of research on who you're talking to and who you want. You know, are you wanting the brand new agent, which I love brand new agents. You're taking somebody's life and you're turning it completely on its head. You know, anybody that gets into real estate, it's an amazing business to be in. So I love the brand new agent, but I understand that that's a lot more work and it's mentorship and everything like that. So who am I going after? Am I going after the brand new agent? Maybe you're going after somebody that's done like 2 or 3 deals, but you can look at their volume and you could see they're probably not where they want to be. And you can help them get there because a team is structured. A team is highly structured, usually. I mean, hopefully, if you're a team leader, you're structuring your team. That's the whole point. So, you want to take people that are, either new or they're kind of on their way, but they're not getting there. They're struggling. And you're going to make that call and you're going to say, I noticed that this year you're down a little bit from last year. And have you ever thought about joining a team? I mean, it's a really basic question you're asked. We have people that we try to bring over, and our kind of like question to them is, have you ever thought about growing a team? Have you ever thought building a team? Because we love to bring people over and help them build teams. So for you as a team leader, it's going to be like, have you ever thought about being on a team? Most agents have thought about it. So they are going to answer that question. Yes, I have thought about being on a team, and they want to hear your spiel. They want to hear what you do. I mean, are you a leads team where you're going to provide me leads? Are you a coaching team where you're going to provide me coaching? Are you a farming team where I'm going to sit in your open houses because you're dominant in a farm? Or you're going to help me be a farmer in an adjacent farm to where you're a dominant farmer? So there's different types of teams. And I'm curious, if you called me and you said, are you interested in being on a team? I'm going to take that phone call. I'm going to see what you're all about. I want to know how you're generating leads. So it's an easy conversation to have. It's not scary at all. Nobody's going to hang up on you and say, no, I'm not interested in joining a team. Click. I mean, it's an easy phone call to make. It's easier than cold calling, sellers or buyers. And it's kind of like getting to know people and building those relationships. So Shelby, you might tell me today, like, I'm not really interested in being on a team right now, but I've considered it and I might consider it in the future. And you're like, great, Shelby, let's touch base every, couple of months and see how you're doing. And now I have a relationship with you. Now, when it does happen that you're like, you know what? I can't generate leads by myself. This sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to call Michele because I want to be on her team. It's just like farming. You're building those relationships. So when somebody thinks, I'm ready to do something, they're going to think about you.
Okay, so having your spiel ahead of time is pretty important about like your value proposition before you call these agents. You have to know what you provide in order to lead them towards that as a potential solution in their life. So with you, it sounds like, you don't directly target the agents. You're really targeting more of the producer who might start an agent. What does your spiel look like?
So when I call a team, it's really like, it's either an agent that I think has the propensity to grow a team. And my question to them when I call them is like, have you ever thought about starting a team? You're doing $15 million on your own. That's a really great person that could do $50 million as a team. So I'm targeting a little bit bigger producers. And if I know somebody that's doing 15 million on their own, that's the person that should be looking at starting a team. So I'm going to call them and I'm going to say, hey, Shelby, you did $15 million last year. Congratulations. That's amazing. Have you ever thought about starting a team? And then just wait. Because everybody has, right? Every successful real estate agent has thought about starting a team. Some of them are going to be like, yeah, I thought about it, but I really don't want to manage agents. I don't want to herd cats, And then my question is to them is like, what if you had the systems in place that didn't make it so hard? What if you had a broker that could help you build your team, help you recruit, help you put the systems? I mean, we have so many teams in our company that I know what all those systems are. I could help somebody structure something so it's not so daunting of a task. So those are my conversations that I'm having. And then when it comes to teams that are already teams, then my question to them is like, do you want to grow? How many people do you want on your team? Are you satisfied with the number of agents you have now? Are you satisfied with their productivity? How can I help you get to the next level? And it's really like listening, and people will talk to you and they'll say, if I could just have this, maybe they need a manager for their team. I mean, we've recruited teams that their team was so big and so successful that they needed a manager, and we could find them that. So it's really just calling, asking a simple question, and then just waiting for them to give you their whole life story.
With the scenario before, like that $15 million producing solo agent hypothetically, and you ask the question, what if you had a broker who could help you build out the team, recruit systems? If I'm listening to that pitch, I'd be like, yeah, but what does that really look like? Because everyone's trying to pitch everyone. Everyone's trying to pull you over to their brokerage and their training and all that stuff. So like, what would it actually look like if I switched brokerages over to yours?
So I think there's a couple of things. I think that you have to have your tech stack, your systems. Hopefully your systems match what that team is already using or wants to go to a system like yours. So there's that. There's your tech stack. But more than that, I mean, because everybody has a tech stack and most of them are pretty halfway decent. Some are not, but not too terrible. The thing that separates one broker from another broker is coaching and training and recruiting and teaching recruiting and coaching and training. So if you're a great trainer and coach, then you should be able to recruit really great agents because that's what they're looking for. The whole reason for them to be on a team is because they want coaching and training, not because they want the great tech stack. I mean, that's nice, but can you get an agent to the next level? Can you help them produce more? If I meet with you on a weekly basis and we go over your pipeline and we go over, who you're recruiting, who you're targeting, how your leads are coming in, where you're getting leads from. Have you tried this source? Are you doing this source? Like looking at your ROI on your leads and saying, you know what, you're spending this much on this lead source and you've only closed 2 deals last year. We need to take that resource and move it over to, pay-per-click or Facebook ads or, have you tried this advertising? I mean, it's just really coaching. And when you're coaching a lot of teams, you're understanding how they're doing, how they're running their teams, and you're seeing the ones that are really successful, and you can help your other teams emulate that. So I think that's the way you're going to get people to come over, and that's the way you're going to make them successful when they do come over. And then when they do come over and they are successful under you, then it's like, look at, Christian, who just came over from this other company, he was 50 million when he got here. Now he's 150 million in 2 years in a down market. This is what we're all about. So it really is like, I think the coaching and the training, it's something that a lot of companies can't emulate because they're too big. They have too many agents and they don't charge enough. If you're, with a company that, is a pay per, a very small amount kind of company, how are you going to hire great coaches? You can't hire great coaches. It's a different environment. So then that person has to pay for outside coaching. So, there's always like a value proposition of any company or any team. So my value proposition of my company is we're not the cheapest game in town, but we're going to help you get your business to the next level and we're going to coach and train you. Another value proposition might be we are the cheapest game in town and then you'll have enough money to pay for your own coaching. And so there's, you need to figure out what yours is as a business owner, as a team leader, even as an agent. Like what do I do better than anybody else does? What can nobody compete with me on? And that's what you need to sell. And that's what you need to talk to agents about when you're recruiting. Like, this is my sweet spot. I am great with Zillow Flex and I know how to get the conversion ratio higher than any other Zillow Flex team. And this is my system. This is how I do it. And I could help you do the same thing. I mean, if that's your thing, and figuring out what your thing is. And then it's easy to sell when you believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, then find another thing, find something else.
Shouldn't be selling it.
Find something else to sell. Like, you got to believe in it 100%. And I feel that way, like a lot of times with recruiters, or people who are trying to recruit, the reason they don't do well recruiting is because they don't really believe. They don't believe in what they're selling. You have to believe.
Yeah, totally agreed. Okay. So at this point, you've had this phone call and let's just say hypothetically, they're not the person who's like, I'm interested, maybe down the road, follow up with me. Like, they're interested. What is the next step and how do you ask it? Like, specifically, I'm looking kind of to pull a script out of this to push towards the next step.
Okay. So somebody that is interested and kind of like, you feel like they're interested in blowing you off, or they're a long-term play. Because there's two different kind of scenarios.
No. They're interested in what are the next steps. They're like, I'm not ready to like proceed, but I want to maybe meet and like, I want more information. Like, give me a little more.
Yeah. So almost every time we're meeting with a team, we do a first call, like on a Zoom or a call, because it's so low risk for them. So easy for them to say yes. So, let's do a Zoom Tuesday at 3:00. Okay, no problem. They'll book it. They'll forget about it. You have to call and remind them, agents. And, but they'll show up most of the time on the Zoom and you're giving them a very high level overview. This is what my team does. If you're a team leader and you're recruiting for a team, this is what my team is all about. Very high level. I'm a coaching training team. I meet with all my team members one-on-one. Twice a week. I meet or maybe once a week, and I meet with them as a group once a week. We do role playing on Mondays. We do, if you're a team and you're not highly structured, then you should reconsider being a team. You need to be highly structured. Agents join teams because they want structure, because they're tired of doing this on their own. So structure it. Mondays, role play. Tuesdays, we cold call in front of each other. Wednesdays, we are doing, developing new scripts. Thursdays, we are, even if in between showing and in between listing appointments, these things are like early in the morning and you're getting them done. So when your first Zoom or call with this person that you want to come over to your team, very high level. This is what we do. We're all about coaching. If it's leads, we're all about, giving you leads. We'll give you about 5 leads a week. We expect the closing ratio to be, a certain percentage. We have this system and this is how it's a round robin and, very high level. If they're like, yeah, I'm interested. I really feel like I need more structure in my life and I'm tired of doing this on my own. I'm interested. Then it's like, okay, let's meet in person. How does Thursday at 3:00 work? Thursday at 3:00, you meet in person. That's going to be a more in depth. And for a team, you're going to be interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. Don't waste your time with people that aren't going to fit your culture. Don't waste your time with people that don't have the drive, that don't have the fire. Make sure that you're aligned that way. Don't think that you have to take everybody with a pulse, because people will suck your time away, and they're taking time away from other people on your team that are more talented. So it's a two-way process. You're setting that second meeting so that you can interview them as much as they're interviewing you. And during that time, it's really like, what are you all about? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? How many deals do you want to make? How much money do you want to make? And can I help you do that? And if you feel like you're in alignment, then it's a really easy close. I mean, it's just like, all right, let's do this. We'll sign the paperwork now. Send an email to your manager. Don't go meet him in person so that he tries to recruit you back. And and come over.
That's a good tip. Don't go meet them in person, because it's so true. They will.
And sometimes I'm like, okay, do you want me to call your manager and tell him that you're coming? Because I'll do that for you if you don't want to have that awkward conversation. And I would 100%.
Dude, that's good. That's smart. Okay. So the Zoom, it's more of an overview of the team, the structure, what they can expect, where it sounds like the one in person is much more like flipped the switch where it's like about them. You're asking about their goals and getting a feel out, whether they're the right fit for your team. And is that correct?
Yeah. And then, a lot of my teams will also have like a third meeting where they're letting that person meet with the whole team. And the whole team is weighing in on whether or not they think that person's a good fit for their team. Like, they went through me. I think they're a good fit, but I want my team to make sure they think it's a good fit too. And that way you're getting buy-in from the whole team. It creates a great culture of, we only take the agents that we all like, that we feel like we can get along with. That's a really great way to kind of build that camaraderie on your team.
What happens when, after that second meeting, you love them? They're a great culture fit. You can help them, but they are not sold on coming over. They're not sold on you. What do you do?
Sometimes it's a longer play. I've had people that I've recruited for like 5 or 6 years, and it's just, eventually it's the right time. It's not always the right time. And recruiting is like farming, and that you're putting mailers or dropping postcards. You're letting people know the value of their property. You're putting your name out there. You're letting them know who you are, but you're not saying, I need you to sell your house right now. You know what I mean? Because that obviously wouldn't work. So recruiting is the same thing. There's a lot of people that are really happy, just not ready to make a move. And they'll tell you that, like, I love what you're doing. I love everything you have. I'm just not ready to make a move right now. Okay, that's fine. I'm not a pushy person. So if you say I'm not ready to make a move right now, I'm like, great, Shelby, let's keep in touch. And I'll call you every 6 months. Hey, Shelby, how's it going? You still feeling like you're lost out there? Do you need some help? I have agents from other companies call me all the time asking me for advice on their real estate business. And I'm not going to say, don't call me unless you work here. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to build that relationship, and I'm going to have a pipeline so that I'm never, just like a farmer, I'm never going to be wanting, agents to come over, because I have a constant flow of agents that are coming over because they have a relationship with me, because I'm not pushy, because I'm not like, if you're not here, you can't call me and ask me a question. So it's building relationships.
The classic real estate answer. Okay, but what systems do you use to keep in touch? Like, I'm going to call you every 6 months. Do you have a CRM exclusively for recruiting that you go back and you like annotate your notes and set your follow-up reminder, or what do you use?
I use Follow Up Boss. So Follow Up Boss is great for just that. Like, you put your person in there, you put your notes, and you're like, follow up every 6 months or follow up every 3 months, depending on how, much I think that person's going to move, like based on the conversation with them. They've said they're not ready yet, but I can't see them staying there for another 2 months. So I'm going to follow up every 60 days. Or that person, they're pretty happy, I'm going to follow up every, 90 days or 6 months, put them on a drip, put them on a, sometimes it's just like somebody's on my mind, like, and if I hear about something cool, like I heard about an opportunity for a TV show, and this agent told me that they wanted to be on a TV show. So I just texted him like, hey, did you hear about American Dream TV? Just like, these little things so I'm constantly like, I'm one of the people, if they go anywhere, they're at least going to call me and say, Michele, let's meet. At least that. And that's all I want.
Because you mentioned calling. Like, do you call every time, or is when you touch it, like, is it ever just like a, hey, I'm thinking of you? What is it? What does it look like?
It's a combo of all three. Like, hey, I read this article. That's a text. Actually, the American Dream TV thing was a text. I read this article and I thought about you. Text. Hey, I just wrote this article. You should read it. I think you'd love it. Text. Sometimes email, depending on if it's just something I'm forwarding emails about different things that are happening in the industry. Did you hear about this lawsuit? Did you hear about this thing going on with the new buyer broker? Definitely like keeping them informed on what's going on, because you don't know if they're getting informed where they're at. So yeah, I think being the go-to person for that.
When you are doing those like informational, like, hey, did you hear about this? Do you ever mass blast that, or are they always like individual and personalized?
To me, they're individual and personalized, because I'm not like mass recruiting. I have a targeted group of people that I am thinking of, that I want to be here. So to me, it's individual and personalized to each person. But mass emails, they do, they resonate with people. You can kind of, I have agents that send me mass emails from other companies. Look what this company is doing. I think as a team, you're going to be much more picky about who you bring on. Yeah, I think you send out individual emails. It takes a second. When you get a great article, who would appreciate this? And you take a second and you send it to 2 or 3 people.
What are the most common objections that agents maybe don't say out loud? Do you ever have that where an agent is like, oh, I'm not ready, but you like try to find it and something's there, but they're not actually saying it? What are common objections?
I think, for in a traditional company like ours, and for teams too, a lot of it's going to be the money, the split. So if you're a team leader and you're telling somebody to come over and work for your team, you might be putting them on a 50-50, or, maybe it's a 50-50 to 80-20 type thing. But if it's your lead, it's 50. And, I've seen it structured in multiple ways. So if they're like, even a broker like ours, where they're on a 90, and then you're telling them, oh, now I'm going to give you 50%, you better be doing something really great for that. You know what I mean? That extra 40% that you're giving, that's going to be your biggest objection. So it's really like structuring your splits as a team to be aggressive enough, but enough that you're making money, because you are devoting your time, you're giving them leads, you're spending money on having that person on your team. So to have them on like a 90-10 or 80-20 doesn't make any sense for you. I mean, that's it. They need to be on a split that is more cohesive to the team, to build the team. And you're going to use that money hopefully to generate more leads and get more business, and everybody's going to benefit from it. But I would say that's going to be your biggest objection. I mean, it's our objection because we're a traditional brokerage too. So we get that all the time. So it's like, it's going to be value, value, value. Like, what is going to let this person see that there's value in what they're spending? It's like, there's value in getting a Mercedes-Benz. There's value in buying an Audi.
Okay. And do you find inviting them to training is a good option? Do you or creative ways to recruit stay top of mind? Or they're like gift giving? Is there like events? What else do you do to recruit?
All of the above. So some of my best teams are amazing trainers. And when they're recruiting, sometimes they'll do one phone call to see if the person's a fit. And then the next thing they're inviting them to is their team training. And, the teams that are really great trainers hire that person on that, right after that meeting, because they're not getting that. Most agents don't get what they need out of their brokerage. They're not getting like the hand holding. They're not getting the one-on-one. They're not getting the training. They're not getting coaching. That's why teams have become the new thing. That's why they're growing. That's why, because everybody wants to have people around. Everybody wants camaraderie. Everybody wants caring and help. So that's what they're getting from their team. So, a great way to recruit is, you make one phone call, because you don't want to waste your time or their time either. Make one phone call, see if this person is an in general fit. This is the kind of team we are. It could be a Zoom or a call. And then if they're, a potential fit, then sometimes the next meeting isn't going to be a meeting. It's going to be inviting them to training. And then they can really see the culture of your team and what you're bringing to the table.
So that's the training piece. And then what events are you guys doing?
We do a lot of happy hours. We are a heavy drinking company. No.
Cheers. The Marine Corps background. That's what it is. Like heavy drinking in the military.
Yes. So I bought that the first team with me for sure. So we do a lot of happy hours, and, it is great for camaraderie, and it's great for everybody to get together and have a drink with each other and kind of talk about, other things other than real estate. So we do that, quite a bit, and we do it by office. Teams do it themselves. We have some teams that rent these like really nice rooftop venues, and, because they're, small, there's 20 people. So they can afford to do it, and they get the team together to just kind of celebrate each other and tell them how much they appreciate each other. And, that's why it's important not to have them on too high a split. So you can have those really nice happy hours.
Okay. What did we not talk about regarding recruiting that's important?
I think you need to find out what your niche is. When you're starting a team, you need to figure out what kind of team you're going to be. Are you going to be a flex team? Are you going to be a lead generation team that you're handing out your agents leads? Are you going to be a coaching team, where you're strictly doing coaching and mentoring? And you don't have to provide leads. Everybody thinks if I'm a team, I have to provide leads. You don't have to provide leads. That's not necessarily true. You need to provide something. You can't just say, I want to be a team, come work for me. Why? Because I said so. Like, there's got to be something there. There's got to be some value there. So, but it can be coaching training, and whatever the coaching training that you think you're good at. For me, if it was me and I was a team leader, it would be discipline, structure, and accountability. So if you come work for me, you're going to get discipline, structure, and accountability. For other people, it might be like, I am a dominant farmer. I know how to farm. You are going to be able to hold my open houses, which I have like 5 every weekend. And then I'm going to help you dominate in this farm right here. I'm looking to put somebody in that farm right next to my farm. So really, kind of figuring out what is it that I'm going to be? What do I want to be when I grow up? And then structuring, how you are going to, how many people you need to fit into that, that mold, and then going out and selling it to the world. That's the fun part.
Okay, last question before we head to wrap up. So you mentioned that you are calling, and also you guys have events, so you're inviting people to that. Do you guys do anything else specifically in regard to marketing to people you want to recruit? Like, do you do paid ads? Are you on LinkedIn? Like, are you on social media? Like, what else are you guys doing?
So me personally, I'm big on Instagram. I speak a lot, like through, all over the country. And most of the time I'm speaking on like leadership and discipline, which I wrote a book about, which I'm rewriting right now. So don't look it up yet. Wait till another 4 months. So I speak a lot about that. So I'll take those little clips. My husband's always sitting in the audience and he's filming me. And then I download it into Descript. I don't know if you know that software where it kind of like puts the words on it and you can cut it out, and I upload it to Instagram. And so, because I want people to understand what I'm all about. So I definitely think picking your platform, whatever it's going to be. Recently, because I love to write, I got on Substack and started writing some longer form articles. So you can't do everything, pick a platform. If you're a writer, pick Substack. If you're, a video person, Instagram, if you just like to write short clips, maybe it's X, pick your platform and how you're going to get yourself out there. And then as a team leader, especially, like if you can speak in different venues like Inman or Riz Media, I do a lot of those. And sometimes, in the beginning, I just had to ask. Like, don't be scared to just ask, call up Riz Media and say, I'd love to be on your panel. I'm a top producing team. I believe in this, this, and this. And next time you have a team panel, I'd love to be on it. just let people know that you're available to talk, and then you're getting your name out there, you're getting your brand out there, and then people will be attracted to you. They're like, I love the way Michele talks about this. I want to be on her team. So it's just getting yourself out there. So it's all the above, the social media, the speaking, the knowing what your brand is, knowing what you stand for. And then, when you make those calls or you send those texts, it's a whole lot easier because they kind of know who you are already.
It is so much easier when they've already seen you on a podcast or on Instagram or on YouTube, because the conversation is completely different. And this is why I think so many people are hopping on like the YouTube and the social media train in regard to marketing for their real estate businesses, is because it is such a different conversation when the person has already self-selected if they don't like you, or opted in if they do like you, and really bought into the idea that they want to work with you. That's a completely different conversation than cold calling someone who's never heard of you and they've gotten 10 other cold calls in the past 20 minutes and they're like, please never talk to me again. Do not call me, F off, hang up. So, Substack, real quick. What is Substack?
So it's a longer form, like a blog. It's a lot of writers that are, that write books or write articles. They kind of switched over to some of the more traditional, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and they write for Substack. So you can go and you'll find a lot of like independent writers on there. And it's like a longer form blog site. So my Substack is michelleharrington.substack.com. Michele is one L. Everybody always gets that wrong. And Instagram, it's Michele Williams Harrington, Michele with one L. So, I think it's a kind of like an up and coming thing, but it's for writers primarily.
Okay. Gotcha. Very cool. Okay. Fire round, wrap up questions. What is your favorite app or tool?
Right now, my favorite app is Substack.
Perfect. What events are you going to in the next 12 months?
I just got done with the Riz Media event. I will probably be going to Inman in Vegas because it's so close. And I always go to CAR, California Association of Realtors.
Okay. How can listeners help you in your business?
I think that if you're interested in growing and you're interested in, building a team or growing a team or, becoming a team, like that's what I do. So anybody can hit me up. I love to meet with people. I love to talk. It's just fun. Just meeting new people and finding out what their dreams and goals are.
And where is the best place for people to reach out to you?
Instagram's probably the easiest place to find me, and just message me there.
And one more time, guys, it is Michele with one L Williams Harrington on Instagram. And guys, you know the drill. If you want to hang out with me and the owner of the show, we are The Shelby Show, and Aaron Amuchastegui on the gram. We love to hear from you. So when you go and you're listening to this podcast and you're sharing it on your story and you're tagging Michele, you tag us, we'll reshare it. So much love, all the things. And otherwise, guys, that is all we have for today. Michele, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much, Shelby. That was fun.
Yeah, super fun. Okay, Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening.